Hello and welcome to this recorded presentation about the Kimberley Food Community Project. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we are viewing this video. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and the beautiful ocean and thank them for protecting this country for thousands of generations. I respect all elders past and present. So here we have pictured our food community team, which is led by Dr. Stephanie Godrich, including Professor Amanda Devine, Associate Professor Mel Stoneham, Isabel Kira, Jess Doe, and Emily Humphreys. And together we make up the Food Community Project team. The Food Community Project aims to identify, map, evaluate, and strengthen government and community food security initiatives across the WA regions to support food security action. So we're conducting this work across 6 WA regions, including the Wheatbelt, Midwest, Great Southern, Kimberley, Pilbara and Goldfields. And in this recording, we'll be focusing specifically on the Kimberley Food Community Project findings. For some geographical context, the Kimberley region spans over 424,000 square kilometres, includes 4 local government areas and has a population of over 36,000 people. This graph here represents the median age range of residents in the Kimberley region, with over half of the population aged between 25 to 65 years, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Throughout 2022 to 2023, the Food Community team conducted interviews with government and community-led food security initiative leaders across the Kimberley region. We conducted interviews with 18 participants, and most of the participants had a coordinator, program coordinator, project manager, team lead or fundraising officer position, or were health professionals. And then you can see the remaining participant demographics listed on this slide. The participants we interviewed represented 30 initiatives across the Kimberley region, and initiatives were categorised as food literacy and health promotion projects, emergency food relief and community programs, businesses, networks or alliances, farmers markets and food events, community gardens and food swapping groups, and policies or strategic plans. Majority of initiatives across this region, so 14 initiatives, were classified as food literacy and health promotion projects. And again, you can see the remaining participant demographics listed on this slide. The Food Community team also mapped the interviewed initiatives across the lifespan to showcase where the focus areas of the initiatives are and where there are some opportunities. So as you can see, the majority of the initiatives that we interviewed are focused on school-aged children and adults, and they are less focused on early years, youth-aged, and senior or older adults. The Food Community Project works through this systems change framework. We have 9 different focus areas that are organised into our interview guide that we use to ask questions of the people who are running food initiatives. Focus area 1 is about shaking things up. It's disrupting the status quo and the current way of working. Focus area 2 is about joining up and rippling out to bolster a potential new way of working. Focus area 3 is about creating identity and combining resources, which helps to move the system of initiatives towards a new way of working. Focus area 4 is about embedding, watching and responding to that new way of working. And focus area 5 is about building collective knowledge. So it's about helping people keep informed about the big picture of food security. These first 5 focus areas are about helping communities to shift towards a more effective way of supporting food security. Then focus areas 6, 7, 8 and 9 relate to two-way communication between government and community. Focus areas 6 and 7 are about government exploring food security solutions and innovations that already exist within the community. And focus areas 8 and 9 are about governments taking those learnings about community food security solutions back up into government systems to embed them in there. And then each of these focus areas are made up of a number of characteristics, of which there are 36 in total. Now we're going to have a look at some analysis of the characteristics that were most commonly possessed by initiatives across each focus area and some example activities that these Kimberley initiatives currently undertake. So our food community team analysed the participant comments from the interviews thematically to see what the most common themes across each focus area and their characteristics are. So, starting at Focus Area 1, initiatives across the Kimberley region were most likely to possess characteristic 1.5, which is about identifying clear geographical or issue based boundaries. For example, there was an initiative facilitating nutrition education programs, specifically in the West Kimberley. At Focus Area 2, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 2.5, which is about creating connections with others addressing food security. For example, initiatives connecting with other local food relief agencies and also those that were sharing their kitchen space to prepare food. At Focus Area 3, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 3.1, which is about creating a shared awareness and understanding of food security through words and images. For example, there were initiatives that used logos and branding that incorporated and celebrated local Indigenous bush foods. At Focus Area 4, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 4.1, which is about fitting within local constraints, context, or needs. For example, there were grassroots organisations in the Kimberley working with the community to respond to their individual food relief needs. At Focus Area 5, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 5.3, which is about connecting people who have different perspectives on food security. So this included an initiative that was a food relief initiative that connected with local farmers who donated produce, as well as tourists that were travelling through who would volunteer their time. By creating these connections with people, it encourages the sharing of different perspectives related to food security. Now looking at Focus Area 6, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 6.3, which is about helping government and non-government workers to consider community views about food security and take those ideas into account. For example, there were dietitians that would attend nutrition training workshops to incorporate organisations' resources into their own programs. At Focus Area 7, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 7.2, which is about assisting elected representatives to consider community views and ideas about food security. For example, there was an initiative that had local government and state government representatives on their committee. At Focus Area 8, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 8.2, which is about linking community-led activities and government strategic plans. For example, there was an initiative that would link their activities to the health and wellbeing outcomes outlined in their local shire's community strategic plan. Finally, at Focus Area 9, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 9.2, which is about providing elected representatives with community information about food security that is relevant to their electorate area or portfolio. For example, an initiative would share their research publications and reports with local elected members via email. After we interviewed people, we uploaded the data into an online tool called the Tool for Systemic Change, and we used this tool to evaluate the initiative's work against those 36 systems change characteristics embedded across those 9 focus areas we just discussed. The tool produces a variety of maps, including these region-based transition cards, and this is the Kimberley one. So this transition card, or our systems change map, visualises how the Kimberley food security system is contributing to 36 systems change characteristics across 9 focus areas. So it shows the initiatives we interviewed down the left side there, and then each of those columns are the characteristics that make up the 9 different focus areas. And then the coloured tiles indicate whether the initiative possesses that focus area's characteristic, and each characteristic aligns with the question asked during the interview. If the tile is coloured, then the initiative possesses the characteristic, and if it's blank, they either responded no to our question or couldn't provide evidence as to how they possess the characteristic. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's not necessarily a bad thing if they don't possess them. It just offers these windows of opportunities to strengthen different parts or aspects of that initiative through small tweaks or changes. The tool for systemic change also produces a partnership map or a solution ecosystem, which shows all of the different partnerships and collaborations between the 76 organisations that we identified, and that was based on those interviews, to be working on food security within the Kimberley region in 2023. So you can see a larger version of each region's partnership map on our website. And now we're going to have a bit of a deeper look into the Kimberley partnership analysis. Taking a look at the network model type, social network analysis can be used to understand network typology and structures as a whole. So the Kimberley partnership map that I just showed you is transitioning from a hub and spoke model to a multi-hub model. This indicates that it's shifting from a network where one organisation plays a central connecting role to a network which includes several coordinating roles who create relationships across the network. 26 organisations were classified as hubs in the Kimberley network, meaning that these organisations connected with more than the average number of partners and were essential to spreading information throughout different parts of the network. Then 2 not-for-profit organisations, one of which was not located in the region, and then 1 state government organisation were critical for information sharing. 48 organisations were classified as connected components, which means that they use their partnerships to receive and share information throughout the network. And 1 organisation was a connecting node. So this organisation was a bridge between the 2 partnership clusters of West Kimberley and East Kimberley organisations. Then there was 1 organisation that was unconnected from the network, meaning they had no partnerships. Throughout our analysis, we also identified common themes about the ways in which organisations are working in partnership in the Kimberley region. So key themes included collaboration, coordinated action and capacity building, community consultation and involvement, food and financial donations, funding and grants for program delivery, on-ground program and service delivery, and physical and human resources. For example, under collaboration, coordinated action, and capacity building, partnerships focused on addressing local community issues. For example, there was an initiative where monthly meetings were held between key organisations to coordinate activities outlined in a collective action plan. Next, under community consultation and involvement, this was about community members who volunteered and were described as integral to the design and/or delivery of the services. For example, an initiative leader described their organisation as being governed by a committee of volunteers. Then, under food and financial donations, several food relief initiatives received food donations. For example, a food relief initiative was reliant on members and sponsors providing food and financial donations in order to provide their food relief. Moving on to funding and grants for program and service delivery, initiatives often received funding and grants for their program delivery. For example, there was a nutrition education initiative that was funded by a state government funding body. Next, under on-ground program and service delivery, initiatives joined to support on-ground program delivery. For example, there was an initiative with a memorandum of understanding to deliver nutrition education sessions. Finally, looking at physical and human resources, initiatives regularly shared physical and human resources. For example, there was a Kimberley initiative that partnered with organisations in the local community to run their program out of their facilities. During the project, we also asked participants what ideas they had for new initiatives or actions required to support food security in their region. So in the Kimberley, common ideas included nutrition education and healthy food promotion, such as more positions or staff who could facilitate existing programs through sustainable funding, as well as the promotion of healthy fundraising resources, such as Not Another Sausage Sizzle. There was also the ideas for free cooking programs and free food safety training that could be run by the local shire. There was also the idea for advocacy, such as advocating for freight subsidies, advocating for verge gardens, as well as collective key messaging about the promotion of food availability across the region. Under community food storage, that included ideas such as community cool rooms and kitchens for charities and small businesses to access. There was ideas around white good grants and social supermarkets. There was the idea for community transport, including a grocery shopping bus in town with a cultural liaison. And finally, there was the idea for a food collective that had a 10-point plan that partners with philanthropic organisations for funding. Based on our Kimberley findings, the Food Community team has developed recommendations to support the current food security system to shift towards a more effective way of working. This included Kimberley Food Security Initiative leaders could strengthen their food security impact by enhancing Focus Area 6 attributes. This might be through supporting government and community staff to come together to work on food security, as well as encouraging the government to provide information about food security to their region's residents, as well as supporting governments to include community ideas about food security in their plans. Initiative leaders could also strengthen their food security impact by enhancing Focus Area 9 attributes through advocating to local, state, or federal government about addressing food security and ensuring that their initiative is listed on the Food Community website's Connect section. Additional recommendations include food security initiatives should consider the bigger picture of food security when sharing information with their networks and undertaking food security activities, as well as better support for collaborations between government and community organisations. We've also developed specific recommendations to strengthen the Kimberley region's partnership networks, including organisations could identify and document clear partnership purposes, roles and actions. If desired, the one unconnected organisation should be supported to connect into the partnership network, and this could be achieved through creating a bank of region-based partnership opportunities, such as through the Food Community website, as well as interagency networking groups. And finally, the Kimberley Region Network should be supported to shift across the network stages. This could be by connecting organisations, increasing collaboration on small food security projects, bringing in new organisations, and implementing ways to share information. This brings us to the end of the Kimberley Food Community Snapshot presentation. We would like to acknowledge and thank our project partners and funders, which are listed here. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, please email us at foodcommunity@ecu.edu.au. You can also follow us on Facebook to keep up to date with the project, and head over to our website and sign up for free to access a variety of resources.